Good morning. I hope you and your families are well. We discussed last time the halacha and Shulchan Aruch, Tov Lomar. The Shulchan Aruch suggests a person recite the parsha of Mon, the parsha of Aseres Hadibrais, and the parsha of the Akedah prior to davening. However, it is clear from most of our Sidurim that while the parsha of Akedah has become certainly a part of our Seder HaTfilah, the parsha Hamon and the parsha of Aseres Hadibra is not. Certainly at the beginning of Tefillah, most recited, if anything, at the end of Tefillah. And one has to understand, while the Shulchan Aruch puts them all at the same place, why is it that Minhag Yisrael differentiated? What's the difference between Parsha Akedah and the other two Parshias? And perhaps you'll tell me that the Parsha of Akedah should certainly precede the Parshias of Karbonos, which is what we are going to continue to say. So then why is there a large break between the Parsha of the Akedah and the Parshios of Karbonos? We know that after the Akedah, we have many paragraphs. Ribono Shalom, La'olam Yehei Adam Yirei Shemayim B'Seiser, Ribono Kol Ha'olamim, Aval Anachnu Amcha B'nei Brisecha, Lefichach Anachnu Chayavim L'Hoides, going on to recite Kriya Shema, Atahu Ad Sheloi Nivra Olam, continuing to make a bracha on Kiddush Shem, Mikadesh Shimcha Barabim, and then again, Atahu Hashem Elokeinu, B'Shemayim V'Aretz, U'Shmei Shemayim Ha'Elyonim, and then only then do we begin the Parshios of Karbonos. I believe that there's a very, very fundamental and important idea, which really could uplift our entire tefillah, certainly our entire recitation of Karbonos, if we take it to heart. But we have to analyze the Siddur, what Chazal gave us to understand the full depth behind the Seder HaTfilos in this particular area. And that must begin with understanding what we are doing when we recite Karbonos. Karbonos is not just another aspect of tefillah, not just another chelek, another concept that we engage in when we daven. But Karbonos has a very, very unique and very significant role. In fact, according to many Rishonim, it is clear that the recitation of Karbonos is in fact a din de Araisa. Rabbeinu Yoina tells us in the beginning of Maseches Brachos, the recitation of Karbonos is din de Araisa. According to many Rishonim, all of Tefillah is only a din derabanan, midrabanan, a rabbinic obligation, but yet the obligation to recite Karbonos is in fact a din d'oraisa according to many. So it's very, very crucial, very important, not only that we recite Karbonos, but we understand how important it is and understand what it's there to tell us. According to most achronim, the recitation of Karbonos is not merely the recitation of the words, as we will see, but understanding what one is saying, and perhaps even more important, understanding the concept behind what one is trying to accomplish with the recitation of the Karbonos. And in fact, the significance becomes clear from the very Gemara that discusses why it's so important to recite the Parshios of Karbonos. The Gemara tells us something which may be surprising to us. The Gemara says in a few places, Tainus and Megillah as well, that when Avram Avinu at the Bris Bein HaBesarim was promised all that the Rebbeinu Shalom told him about Eretz Yisrael and about his lineage, about his nation, his children being able to take over Eretz Yisrael, Avram Avinu, as we know, wanted a promise. Vayomer Hashem Elokim b'me'eda ki rishena. How do I know that my children will be zoiche to merit called Eretz Yisrael? Amar Avram l'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ribono shel Olam. Maybe they'll sin in front of you. You'll destroy them. I won't do it. How could I be so certain, says Avram Avinu? Go and take these animals, what we know the animals of Bris Bein HaBesarim, and those are a reference to the Karbonos. Says the Rebbeinu Shalom, as long as they're able to bring Karbonos, they will have a mechanism through which to attain kapara, and you don't have to be concerned that I will destroy them. Says Avram Avinu to the Rebbeinu Shalom, Rebbeinu Shalom, Teinach bizman shebeis hamikdash kayim. I understand when the Beis Hamikdash is standing. Bizman she'ein Beis Hamikdash kayim matehei aleim. But when Beis Hamikdash is not standing, what will be? Omer loy, says the Rebbeinu Shalom, Kvar tekanti lahem seder karbonos kol zman shekurim bahem ma'ala ani aleim ki ilu makriv lifnei karbon u'moichel ani al kol avonosechem. Says the Rebbeinu Shalom to Avram Avinu, you want to be sure that Klal Yisrael will continue to be merit, to be zoiche in all the promises of being the chosen people and being zoiche to Eretz Yisrael. You want to be sure that they will continue to be zoiche to the promise of Bris Bein HaBesarim. Says Rebbeinu Shalom, what's your guarantee? Your guarantee is Karbonos. And what happens when there's no Beis HaMikdash and no Karbonos? Says Rebbeinu Shalom, your guarantee is Amiras HaKarbonos. Unbelievable. Our guarantee, our security in our special status, in the beneficiaries of the Bris Bein HaBesarim is dependent, and it sounds like solely dependent, on our recitation of a Karbonos. It cannot be overstated how important Amiras HaKarbonos is. The Rebbeinu Shalom tells us Bris Bein HaBesarim is dependent on our Amiras HaKarbonos, and certainly it makes a lot of sense to us that this is, in fact, the Din D'Oraisa. This is what it all depends on. Our Bris Bein HaBesarim, our treaty with the Rebbeinu Shalom, our special relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom depends on our recitation of the Karbonos. Not only our recitation of the Karbonos, but having the proper kavana when we recite Karbonos. And what is that kavana supposed to be? What are we supposed to be saying to the Rebbeinu Shalom when we do recite Karbonos? So I believe the secret lies in one sif in Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch tells us in Siman Aleph of Shulchan Aruch that one is to recite Karbonos, the Parsha of the Oila, Parsha of Mincha, Shlomim, Chatas, Ve'osha. Continues the Shulchan Aruch, and a person should say them during the day, as Karbonos were brought during the day. And when a person says these Karbonos, says the Shulchan Aruch in Siman Aleph, Yoimer ima Karbonos pasuk, you have to say with the Karbonos, V'shachad oiso al yerech hamizbeach tzafoina lifnei Hashem. This is a pasuk we recite with the Karban Talmud, as the Shulchan Aruch continues to say. We say the Kiyar, we say the Trumas Hadeshen, and of course we say the Parsha of the Talmud, the Parsha of the Ketores. So we say all these Parshias of Karbonos. And we're going to continue to say Mishnayos of Ezu Mekoimen as well. But there's one pasuk that the Shulchan Aruch singles out as being essential, which is not part of any of these parshias. It's not part of the parsha of the Oila. It's not part of the Mincha. It's not part of the Shlomim or the Chatas HaOsham. It's not part of the Talmud. It's not part of the Ketores. It's not part of the Trumas Hadeshen. Yet, the Shulchan Aruch comes and says, this is the parsha. This is the pasuk that a person has to say, Yoimer ima Karbonos pasuk, v'shachar oso al yerech hamizbeach tzefoinu lifnei Hashem. A pasuk from the beginning, the very beginning of Sefer Vayikra, Perek Aleph, v'shachar oso al yerech hamizbeach tzefoinu lifnei Hashem, that your Karbonos have to be shechted in the northern part of the Beis HaMikdash, al mizbeach saviv. Now, what is so essential about this pasuk? That you're going to do the shchita, which we know shchita lav avodah could be really done by Yisrael. Why are we highlighting the shchita specifically and the location of the shchita? And this is something we recite after we recite Karban Talmud, but it's not connected to the Talmud in any which way. The Torah doesn't even present it together with the Talmud. So why is it so important? Say Chazal, Mishabura quotes it, that when we recite this pasuk, V'shachar oisal yerech hamizbeach tzafoinu lifnei Hashem, says in Mishabura, through the recitation of this pasuk, somehow we are conjuring up a reminder in the Rebbeinu Shalom's mind, kaviyachol, the Isa b'medrash, d'chol mi sha'omer pasuk zeh. Whoever says this pasuk, V'shachar oisal yerech hamizbeach tzafoinu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Zoicher Akedas Yitzchak. For some reason, this pasuk, which on the simple level has nothing to do with Akedas Yitzchak, but it's this specific pasuk about the location of the shchita of Karbonos that reminds the Rebbeinu Shalom Kaviyachol of Akedas Yitzchak. And for some reason, the Rebbeinu Shem remembering Akedas Yitzchak is the essential key to us successfully accomplishing our mission of Amiras Karbonos. Explains the Maral Diskin beautifully. Says the Maral Diskin, imagine for a moment what was taking place during the Akedas Yitzchak. The concept of Karbonos is a concept which existed from the beginning of the world. We already see Adam Harishan, Cain, and Hevel have a concept of Karbonos. But the concept of Karbonos most likely was, I bring a sacrifice on top of the Mizbeach, and just like I burned it on top of the Mizbeach, you could imagine I did the Shechita on top of the Mizbeach. In fact, Yitzchak was meant to be brought as a carbon. And where do we see Yitzchak Shechita going to take place? Avram Avinu already is ma'aked. He already binds Yitzchak to the top of the Mizbeach before the Shechita. So we could assume that generally speaking, as would make sense, the Shechita was done on top of the Mizbeach. So why does the Torah command us to do the Shechita Tzafaina on the side of the Mizbeach? Explains the Maral Diskin, something very, very important happened at Akedas Yitzchak. Avram Avinu was all ready to do the Akedah. Yitzchak Avinu was bound to the Mizbeach. He was about to do the Shechita on top of the Mizbeach. And the Rebbeinu Shalom sends a Malach and says, no, wait, don't shech Yitzchak bincha. Avram Avinu says, but I want to have the Zechus. You told me to do it. Rebbeinu Shalom says, no, you can't do it. So what should I do in its place, says Avram Avinu. We all know. Hine ayil, there's an ayil, there's a ram caught up in the bushes. Go take that ayil instead. And we would expect Avram Avinu to detach Yitzchak from the altar, and instead of Yitzchak, put the ayil on top of it, on top of the altar, and bring the ayil. But that's not what Avram Avinu does. Yitzchak remains on the Mizbeach, and Avram Avinu shechts the ayil for the first time in history, not on top of the Mizbeach, but next to the Mizbeach, to tell the Rebbeinu Shalom, maybe in actuality, in reality, I am shechting the ayil, but you, Rebbeinu Shalom, look at it as if I am shechting Yitzchak, and therefore I'm going to keep Yitzchak on top of the Mizbeach, and the ayil will be shechted on the side of the Mizbeach. And from that point in history, Klal Yisrael had the special chus, the special koyach, that when we bring karbonos, we are not bringing animals. But the Rebbeinu Shalom looks at it as if we are bringing ourselves, as the Ramban tells us in Sefer Vayikra. At every point in the Avodah, when we bring a korban, we look at it, the person bringing the korban says that this blood should be in place of my blood because I should be on the Mizbeach. These emurim, these limbs should be in place of my limbs because I should be on top of the Mizbeach. And the Rebbeinu Shalom accepts it as if the korban ourselves. And to remind the Rebbeinu Shalom that we're not bringing animals, but these animals are special animals. In lieu of bringing ourselves, we always shech the karban, tzafaina, on the side of the Mizbeach. Because the Rebbeinu Shalom says, why are you shechting it on the side of the Mizbeach? We remind the Rebbeinu Shalom, remember Akedas Yitzchak. We're there too, the animal was shechted on the side of the Mizbeach. Why? Because Yitzchak was on top of the Mizbeach. And just like over there, you considered it as if it was a shechita of Yitzchak, so too now, for all of Jewish history, when we shecht the karban on the side of the Mizbeach, al yerech ha-Mizbeach, remember the zechus of Akedas Yitzchak, and remember our zechus, that we have the ability to consider it as if we were bringing ourselves, just like the Yitzchak Avinu. You considered it as if he was bringing himself. We always shecht on the side of the Mizbeach to remind the Rebbeinu Shalom of that tremendous koach that Klal Yisrael has, that to consider it as if we are on top of the Mizbeach while we're shechting the animal on the side of the Mizbeach. And the Mizbeach and the animal takes the place of us. It's as if we are sacrificing ourselves. So after the recitation of the Karban Talmud, we say, "V'shachar oiso al yerech hamizbeach tzafoinu fnei Hashem." Rebbeinu Shalom, we didn't bring you an animal; we brought ourselves. Remember Akedas Yitzchak. That pasuk The fact that we do the shechita on the side of the Mizbeach reminds the Rebbeinu from the very first carbon that was brought, that was shechted on the side of the Mizbeach. Why? Because Yitzchak Avinu was on top. And from then on, we have that potency to be able to have the Rebbeinu consider it as if our karbonos are really hakrovas atzmeinu. And that's a Jew's goal when bringing a carbon. That it's not simply as I'm bringing an animal to the Rebbeinu Shem. The Rebbeinu Shem doesn't need our animals. But it's as if I'm bringing ourselves. And just like with hakrovas hakarbonos, I'm not actually bringing myself, but with bringing the animal, it's as if I bring myself. So therefore, Avram Avinu is told by the Rebbeinu Shalom, since when it comes to karbonos, I'm also considering it as if you bring yourself. So when you don't have Beis HaMikdash, and you don't have the Mizbeach, you don't have the animals to bring, so you could say the Amiras HaKarbanos, and I'll consider it as if you're bringing yourselves as well. We might wonder, how is it possible that we can accomplish what a Karban could accomplish with just reciting the Karbanos? But the Rebbeinu Shalom tells Avram Avinu, when you bring the Karban itself, it's also not the real thing. It's also in place of bringing yourself. So the Amira of the Karbanos, if you're able to bring yourself to that place, that mindset that a person was supposed to have when bringing a carbon, if you're able to accomplish that with the amiras of karbonos, you've done exactly the same thing as reciting the karbonos. That's why the Chafetz Chaim tells us that when a person would bring a carbon, he would also say the parshios of karbonos. Kama chaviva in yoni kriyas haTorah karbonos of Hashem Yisbarach. She'afilu be'esha yimakriven karbonos heyagam kein mitzvah likros Torahs ha'oisa karbon. Even when they would bring the karbonos, they would recite parshios of karbonos because bringing the carbon wasn't the ikar. The ikar was bringing a person's mindset to realize that he was supposed to be on top of the mizbeach. The bringing of the carbon was just the vehicle to get a person there. So now, Bavonesenu Harabim, we no longer have the vehicle. But we have to use a different vehicle. And that's the recitation of the Karbonos. The recitation of our Karbonos brings us to the very same place. All of Bris Bein HaBesarim is dependent on our ability to get to that place. To get to the place of being totally batal, bringing ourselves almost as a carbon to the Rebbeinu Shalom. How do we do that? Bizman hazeh, we do that with the Amiras HaKarbonos. Bizman hazeh, we do that when we recite Karbonos before davening. The importance of Karbonos lies in our ability to bring ourselves to that place. When we say the Karbonos, it can't just be lip service. It has to be a process, an emotional process that I'm being mevatel myself, making myself insignificant, totally batel to the Rebbeinu Shalom, willing kaviyachol to bring myself on top of the mizbeach. V'shachar aiso al yerech hamizbeach tzafayna. This is the process of Amiras HaKarbonos. Not just saying the words, but bringing oneself to that recognition, to that place where he's able, so to speak, to be makriv himself to the service of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Now, it certainly makes a lot of sense to us why we recite the parsha of the Akedah before Karbonos. After all, the entire potency of Karbonos, the ability to be able to say that sacrificing a carbon, and certainly the Amira of Karbonos is going to be considered as if I brought myself as a carbon, that was given to us in the zchus of the Akedah. And just like we say, V'shachar osay yerech hamizbeach tzafayna, says the Maral Diskin, to remind the Rebbeinu Shalom of the Akedah, so we Klal Yisrael have a minhag to say the entire parsha of the Akedah beforehand, because that's what gives the Karbonos the potency. That's where we got that koach, that ability to be able to recite Karbonos and have the Rebbeinu Shalom consider it as if we're bringing ourselves, so much so that the Rebbeinu Shalom says, I will give you complete kapara and I will never, ever have to back away, Chalila, from the zechuyos, from the promise of Bris Bein HaBesarim. It's because of the zechus of the Akedah. So before Karbonos, we recite the Akedah. But as we mentioned, in between the Akedah and the Karbonos, we have many, many paragraphs What are those paragraphs doing, and why do they break up seemingly this inextricable link between the Akedah and the Parshios of the Karbonos? But if we take a close look, we see how beautiful this is. Because what the Siddur is putting in place for us is part of this process, this self-development that a person's supposed to be taking place within a person during his recitation of Karbonos. So we start with the Akedah, reminding ourselves and the Rebbeinu Shalom of the zechus of Karbonos, that we could have it be considered as if we're makriv ourselves. Then we say, La'olam yehei adam yirei shamayim. Now we have to understand, this part of davening was written for Jews that weren't able to be Oived Hashem in public, Jews that were suffering persecution. That's why it says, many people even leave out the Galoi. Many people say, Kid the Galoi. Why are we referring to Seiser? Because this part of davening was written for Jews that weren't able to say Shema Birabim. They weren't able to go to Shul and be Oived Hashem in public. So therefore, they had to hide themselves and say tefillah, say Shema, almost in a very secretive way. So they stick the Shema in the beginning of davening as if they're not saying Kriya Shema, as if they're just saying a different part of tefillah. La'olam yehei adam yirei shamayim b'seiser. Rebbeinu Shalom tells Chazal, tell Klal Yisrael, even during those times where you're not able to say Shema b'rabim b'farhesya, say it b'seiser. Make sure in the depths of your heart you are still a Yarei Shemayim, umoida ala emes, v'doiver emes bilvavai. Ribono kol lo tzikoseinu nachnu hapilim. We're not being soymech on our tzidkus, as we know the tefillah continues. Manoimer lefanecha. Imagine a Jew suffering terrible persecution, having to hide from whether it be the Germans or during the Spanish Inquisition or during the pogroms. This tefillah, Yehei Adam Yerushalayim b'Seiser, when they would have to hide to say Kriya Shema. Aval says the tefillah nevayin kli haskell ki roiv maaseyem mefarshim es va'anshe Hashem klohoyim v'chachamim kli yimada unevayinim kli haskell ki roiv maaseyem toyev v'mechayim hevel v'necha umoyzer adam in a behema oyin ki akol hava. Why are we degrading human beings, saying they're like animals? Because we're talking about the human beings that are persecuting us, that are chasing us, that are killing us, that are acting like glorified animals, no different than an animal. We tell the Rebbeinu Shalom, these human beings are not human beings, they're animals. They're chasing us. There's no difference between them and an animal. Moiser adam in a behema oyin. Aval anachnu amcha b'nei brisecha ahavcha b'nei Avram ahavcha shenishbatlu b'harmriya zeri Yitzchak yichidoy shenekar amizbeach. Remember Akedas Yitzchak. Lefichach anachnu chayavim lahoides lechol shabecha lefaercha l'shabechacha. According to Mefarshim, means to be shabecha for the Yisurim. A Jew saying this was in the midst of terrible persecution, terrible Yisurim. Ashreinu matoiv chelkeinu refers to our relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom. Chelek Elokah mimal ki chelek Hashem amoy. Umanom goraleinu refers to Eretz Yisrael, the goyrel of Eretz Yisrael. Umayofa Yerushaseinu, the Yerusha of Torah. Torah tziva alonu Moshe Moreshak Yehilas Yaakov. Ashreinu shanachnu mashkimim umarivim erev vayke va'omer pamayim b'chol yom Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. They would try to stick Shema Yisrael in here because they couldn't say it in public in the way that you would normally want to say it in its regular place. So they stuck it over here. This was all a tefillah of people being persecuted and people being moiser nafshim al kedushas Hashem. And that's why we finish Baruch Atah Hashem mekadesh shimcha barabim. This tefillah was instituted for people that literally had to re-experience Akedas Yitzchak, and people that had to conjure up and had to gather that strength within themselves to relive Akedas Yitzchak. Mikadesh Shmoy Berabim, to be willing to die with the words of Shema Yisrael on their lips. Is there a better place to put it than right before Karbonos? We start with the Akedah, remembering the Akedah Yitzchak. And then we continue to say this tefillah for the Jews that are being persecuted, being sought out by animals, trying to be killed. and exterminated. And those Jews recite, La'olam yehei adam yirei shamayim b'seiser, remembering Akedas Yitzchak, remembering the need and the commandment of Kiddush Hashem, the obligation that we have to be willing to be Moiser Nafshel Kiddush Hashem, and then we go into Karbonos, reminding ourselves that the Amiras HaKarbonos is in lieu of bringing ourselves. But there were Jews that had to bring themselves literally, and this is where they got the strength. They would recite the Akedah, and they would recite this tefillah, La'olam yehei adam, reminding themselves that if it comes to that, they're willing to be moiser nefesh, to say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And then we go into the Karbonos. What great zechus for us is there to go into the Karbonos saying this tefillah. Baruch Hashem, we haven't put it in a situation where we have to be moiser nefesh to say Shema Yisrael. But we remind the Rebbeinu Shalom not only of that Akedah that was Akedas Yitzchak, we remind the Rebbeinu Shalom of the Akedas which took place. The people that were literally slaughtered, whether it be in Germany, whether it be during pogroms in Europe, wherever it may have been. There were people that were literally Meiser Navsham to say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, literal Karbonos. And with that koyach, reminding the Rebbeinu Shalom of those Karbonos, we go in to recite the Karbonos of the Tamid, the Karbonos of Ketores, the Karbonos of the Mincha, the Oila, all the Karbonos we say, reminding ourselves and the Rebbeinu Shalom. We are fortunate that we could just say Karbonos and have it as if we're being slaughtered on the Mizbeach. But there were Jews that were slaughtered on the Mizbeach, that recited this tefillah before Karbonos, not saying it's going to be as if we're brought on the Mizbeach, but realizing that tomorrow they may be brought on the Mizbeach. In the secret, a person willing to say Shema Yisrael, understanding that it might bring him to the altar the next day. Klal Yisrael says, Kadesh Shimcha Mekdishe Shemecha v'Kadesh Shimcha ba'Olamecha. Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh Shimcha b'Rabim. Understanding what Chazal are doing, what Chazal are arming us with, the ammunition coming into Karbonos, reminding the Rebbeinu Shalom of those zechuyos, not only of the Akedah, Yitzchak, but the Akedas of Klal Yisrael throughout the generation, and then going into recite Karbonos. Tell the Rebbeinu Shalom, accept our Amiras Karbonos as if it's actual Karbonos, and accept our actual Karbonos as if we're being makriv ourselves, because you know well that when the time has called for Klal Yisrael to be makriv themselves on top of the altar, we have done it. We've done it time and time again. Accept our Amiras Karbonos as if we are bringing ourselves al Gam Mizbeach. Our Karbonos are never brought on top of the Mizbeach, they're always shechted on the side, because we are the ones tied to the top of the Mizbeach. If a person appreciates this, he says the Karbonos with this in mind. He's brought himself on top of the altar. There's no greater preparation to continue the process of tefillah with Pizukei de Zimra. I wish you all a good day.